Hey guys, welcome to the video. So let's talk about dumb client-side rendered views. So in non-nerd, this translates into when you're looking at your web apps, the views that you render, the HTML and the CSS and the JavaScript that you send out to the web browser, I suggest there are several occasions where it makes sense to keep those views as simple as possible in terms of the processing that you're going to have done in the views. Now, this is opposite to the trend that you see today where people are doing single page websites where you load up a ton of JavaScript into the web page and then you have the JavaScript control what is displayed in the page. So instead of doing entire page refreshes, you do refreshes of particular portions in your page. This is old school is called Ajax. Now, yes, this type of web app has certain major advantages in many respects in terms of server load, because instead of having your server code, whether it be Ruby or Python or Java or PHP, C#.net, instead of having your server code do all the heavy lifting and processing in terms of what's being rendered in the page, what's being fed to it from a database, you can just use JavaScript inside the web browser to make requests to data that's held on the server, and you pull that up. It's just much more efficient in terms of server load. Now, the downside to this is that then you are dependent on the browser, the client browser, being powerful enough to be able to handle all this JavaScript. And I think there's been a bit of a trend to too much JavaScript being pushed onto the client. So it can cause a lot of problems because not everybody's got super fast computers or up-to-date web browsers. So dumb web views are basically, as I said, just sending up your HTML and your CSS and a minimal amount of JavaScript to the web browser. Why would you want to do this? This way you're not dependent on the user, the people visiting your web app or your website, having up-to-date or up-to-par web browsers. So there's an advantage to that. The disadvantage is that you got a lot of server-side processing. So how do you make the choice between one or the other? Generally speaking, I would err on the side of caution, maybe find a middle ground, generally speaking, for a public site. If you have a particular type of web app that's maybe used within an organization, a big company or something, or you're targeting a particular audience, you'll be able to figure out what generally the audience has in terms of web browsers, and you can make a decision there. The other thing that you can do is if you have a web app that has a very specific functionality, you can just require that they have a certain technology stacks on their end to be able to, you can require that they have an up-to-date operating system and web browsers that your client-side rendered apps are used. But all that being said, going back to it, sometimes it makes sense to send up minimal amount of uncomplex, for lack of better terms, code to the web browser to avoid any issues with having too much stuff being processed in the web browser. It's a judgment call, and perhaps I'll do a deep dive video on this if people like this particular subject. So let me close off by saying, when it comes to web apps, most of the time, the bottleneck, the aspect of your app that takes up all the resources is the database access. Accessing data from the database or manipulating data in the database. This is typically the bottleneck, the aspect of an app that will cause all kinds of problems. So that's where my first efforts in terms of optimization should be. So with my own SaaS, Software as a Service Studio Web, we have a hybrid approach in terms of server-side and client-side rendering. And our first optimizations, of course, are with an efficient database structure. We're using a relational database, an SQL database for most of our work. Although we do have, we also have a NoSQL database for some certain other types of data. Typically, I'm going off on a tangent here. If you're going to be tracking data that has a lot of relationships and there's some complexity with the data, I would lean towards SQL. If you just have a lot of data where you don't have to maintain relationships between different bits of information, then a NoSQL database may make sense there. Anyhow, so the first thing that we do is we design an efficient database structure. This is going to help a lot in terms of the overall performance of your app, your web app. And then from there, you can look at efficient queries, SQL queries, implementing really good ORMs, object relational mapping tools. Those are just libraries of code that are used to access databases underneath them. The next thing you do is in your web app code, in your business layer code, whether it be your PHP or your Python or your C# or your Python, whatever, you can have intelligent code that doesn't overly task the database, not too many queries, and smart queries, smart SQL queries, optimized queries. Sometimes, for example, it makes sense to have pinpoint queries pulling out just small bits of information. Sometimes it makes sense to do a more general query, open up a connection, pull out a bunch of data and close that connection, and then you can manipulate that data in the client. It depends on the particular use case. This is where experience comes in. And I'll end with this. I think the next big thing is caching, using database caching on the server. That is a huge thing. So for example, with Studio Web, we do update the course material when it needs to be updated. So my HTML5 foundations, CSS3 foundations, JavaScript foundations, beginners, the Python foundations, the PHP, the SQL. These technologies have not changed much in many years. I think the last big update to Python was when it went from the 2x to the 3x. That was years ago. Same thing with HTML5 and CSS3 sort of came into itself around 2.12. Now my courses were created long after that, but I do update them when I need to update them. But this may be once every other month or so. Some little ambiguities come up here and there in the quizzing or something. And so the database for all the course material is pretty static, and that is a beautiful target for caching because you don't need to update that very often. Whereas, let's say you have a store-based system where people are adding stuff to the shopping cart all the time. This is a situation where this is not a good caching situation because the data being stored there is constantly changing. So that's another story. Anyway, I could go on for hours, but I won't. This is just a vlog. And let me know if you guys see any difference in the quality of this video because I amped up my game. I'm using the super high powerful codec in my cinema camera here. And that's it. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.